All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the unveiling of the results from the third edition of the Digital Study, which examines the behaviors and preferences of Canadian and American users online and on social media. Today, we will be presenting 5 key discoveries to guide you in crafting your digital strategies for 2025. Before diving into the content, I'd like to share a few details about how the webinar will work. We will be together for just under an hour, and there will be a Q&A session at the end. You can start submitting your questions now in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Also, you will receive a copy of this report by email later today. As always, this is our holiday gift to you. It's our pleasure to be able to share our data and insights, which we hope will be useful in better understanding your audiences. So my name is Maryse Dupuis. I am Director of Client Services at Léger Digital, and today I am joined by my colleagues Boris Ung, our Director of Strategy and Business Development, and Alan Doss, Senior Vice President of Public Affairs and Communications. So the digital study is very important to us because year after year, it proves the power of building your digital strategy on tangible, quality data. In a world where every dollar counts and attention is scarce, understanding trends, behaviors, audiences is the key to your success. And that is exactly who we are, what we do at Léger Digital, the only agency that combines research and digital marketing. We specialize in performance-driven digital campaigns and content activation, all of which we base on data. That data allows us to have a deeper understanding of your audience's behaviors, wants, preferences, and this comes from our full integration with our research colleagues at Léger and our clients who see the true value in data. So this year, we focused on themes such as platform usage by age group, employee-generated content, which we will call EGC, we'll cover that, entertainment on social media, testing real ads to see whether traditional ads or influencer content are preferred, and questions about cookies, and of course, by popular demand, artificial intelligence. So our goal is to provide a comprehensive overview of what's happening online and to identify the key trends. So let's get started. Alan, who did we survey this year exactly?
Thank you, Maurice. I am very thrilled to be back this year co-presenting the digital study. And to start off, just want to share a little bit about how we conducted the research, because it is important to highlight the robust methodology that was used to uncover the insights that you're going to hear. To start, the research was conducted online in August of this year, and we had over 4,000 respondents aged 16 and over participate, with just over 3,000 coming from Canada. Now, today's webinar will focus on results from Canada, but the larger report will also share insights on the US, which is important because the US is oftentimes an earlier adopter of many of the social media and online activities. The sample size offers us the ability to segment the data in so many interesting ways and with great accuracy. And to further put into perspective, most of our political polling, which we can prove to be highly accurate through our election success, or election prediction success, has a sample size normally of around 1,500. And here we have over double that amount for just Canadians. We have an amazing team of data experts that ensure the data is all weighted to be representative of the Canadian population by age and region, mother tongue, education level, the presence of children in the household, the same rigor that we apply to our political polling. Lastly, I want to note that in the report, and you'll see some places within the presentation here, we highlight some key differences throughout. Data in green means it's significantly higher than other groups or other participants. Red means it's lower. And you also might see some arrows pointing up or down, which indicate statistical shifts from last year. So with all this great, robust data backing her, Maurice will now share our first key takeaway.
Thank you, Alan. Yes, our first discovery. Social media platforms have a distinct purpose for each generation. So in other words, there's a distinct utility for each age group across platforms. Let's look at our now famous big beautiful chart showing the percentage of users who have accounts on these platforms. So the top three this year remain Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, platforms that continue to grow. Interestingly, Facebook is much less popular amongst our 16 to 24-year-olds, which sort of reinforces its reputation as an aging platform. However, YouTube and Instagram are clearly dominant among our 16 to 44 age group. In general, trends remain stable compared to last year. However, we do see growth in Reddit and Threads, each gaining 3%. So these text-based information sharing platforms deserve further attention, so we will come back to them later. On the right, we have messaging platforms. Messenger remains the most popular, but WhatsApp shows notable growth up to 4%, up by 4%. We know that WhatsApp is particularly favored by newcomers to Canada. On our next slide, you know that there is a difference between having an account on a social media platform and actually using it frequently. So this is where this chart comes in. I use this platform at least once a day. Looking at Facebook, it remains the most used platform with 63% of users using it daily. Facebook is especially popular among our 25 to 44-year-olds, and it really dominates among the 45 plus group. For 16 to 24, in order of popularity, we have Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, and Messenger. And again, WhatsApp is worth looking at. It gets more usage as we go lower in age. Most of all, I want to point out our top four this year: Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, and Threads. They saw an increase in both the number of accounts, but also in daily use. So let's talk more about Reddit and Threads. It's the rise of text-based platforms. So 26% of respondents have an account on Reddit. Reddit engages twice as many men as it does women, and that is good insight for marketers. As we know, men, especially younger men, are often a tougher audience to reach. So Reddit is a good one to keep in mind. And 14% of respondents have an account on Threads. So last year, we theorized that Threads might have been a fad, a passing trend, but after a second year, we are noticing an increase in respondents who have an account. So if your community is on Threads, it might be a good place to engage with them. Moving over to YouTube, the jack of all trades. So as we saw earlier, it is the third most used platform in terms of daily use. We asked respondents how exactly they use YouTube, and what stood out was the wide variety of uses. So there isn't one single dominant activity. Some use it for entertainment, music, influencer content, while others will use it as a search engine for tutorials, how-tos, product reviews. For organizations and brands, YouTube is a relevant platform to support users throughout their customer journey, from awareness to consideration and even conversion. So YouTube, increasingly replacing television for many, is a crucial space for capturing qualified audiences and influencing purchase decisions. Today, you can do this using a variety of tactics and content formats, from long-form videos to shorts and targeted ads based on user interests. TikTok. So we often talk about TikTok, right? But its mass adoption amongst Canadians is yet to be seen. Currently, 33% of respondents, say they use TikTok, quite similar to last year. However, among our Gen Z, our 16 to 24-year-olds, TikTok ranks as the fourth most used platform daily, just after Snapchat. An interesting point is among our 25 to 44-year-old group and our 45 plus group, 30 and 37% respectively use TikTok to learn new things like cooking, DIY, we see repairs or travel planning. And TikTok is also recognized as a search engine, with more and more users turning to it for information, much like they would Google. All right, here is one of our favorite charts this year. Here's just an excerpt of our third big chart. Who does what where? So in the full report, you'll find a complete chart with more platforms. But for now, let's look at Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And Alan can explain the methodology.
All right, thanks, Maurice. We just saw how TikTok is being used to learn new things, and here's another way. You don't have to have TikTok to learn. What are the top three activities that these three age groups are using across these three platforms? We've highlighted in green instances where an activity is significantly more likely to be done by that age group compared to the rest. And so there's a lot of text here, and so best to use an example, and we'll look at Facebook. Across each of the three age groups, we see that everyone is using messaging and scanning their news feeds to pass the time as at least two of their three top activities. However, when we look at the 16 to 24-year-olds, we see that they're the only group to be searching for people or profiles, and they're doing that at a significantly higher level than those who are older. Overall, there's a lot of great information on here, and our digital experts can translate what it all means to optimize your digital efforts. So, Maurice, do you have anything else to add?
Absolutely. So here's how this information can be useful for brands. So let's take our 16 to 24 audience. They have a Facebook account and they will use it to search for your business's page, just as you would on Google. So your content on Facebook doesn't necessarily have to cater to them, but you need to have a page on Facebook. However, our 45 plus audience is the one that interacts with content on Facebook, likes, shares, comments. This means your content on Facebook should speak to them if they are your target audience. Another example would be on Instagram. So our 16 to 24 mostly use Instagram to send direct messages or DMs. So as a brand, it's important to have a good community management strategy and to use your DMs as a form of customer service if you want to speak to them. And then looking at TikTok, it is the only platform where our Gen Z respondents actually interact with content. So it really is the platform to leverage if you want that interaction with the 16 to 24 demographic. So concluding on this discovery number one, this wraps up our first insight. Platforms serve distinct purposes for different generations. Knowing where your audience is and how they behave on each platform is critical for aligning your strategies with their habits and preferences. Today, branded content has to feel organic, so understanding audience habits is really key to aligning with their natural behaviors. Before we jump into the next section, we have a poll. We couldn't help ourselves. We're léger, we poll. So it will show up. We asked the respondents the same question, asking them if they would prefer, when hearing from a brand, if the content came from an employee of that brand or from influencers. So the poll will pop up any minute now. And please let us know if you would prefer to see employee-generated content or influencer-generated content. We'll give you a few seconds to respond. And we will see your results in the chat very soon. Please vote. We love to have your input. Do you prefer to hear about a brand's or a company's products or services through influencers? 44% of you said influencers and 56% of you said employees, almost half and half. So, but you guys are really aligned with our results, which will appear in a second. It'll come up, just a little glitch after the poll. You will see that employee-generated content was the top choice for our respondents over influencer content. But first, let's take a closer look at what's happening with influencers. So while there has been an increase in people who follow influencer content, there's been a slight decline in perceived credibility. So Alan, what can we infer from this drop?
Well, I think it ties to something that we saw in the bigger report, which is a significant increase over the past year in people who said that they find it difficult to discern the real from fake. And I was thinking about it further and tying it back a little bit longer ago. In 2017, fake news was the word or words of the year. And I think that's still lurking in the shadows and has come back with force this year, particularly with AI and other advances in technology, making it easier to create content that looks real. And in Canada, also the introduction of the Online News Act and Meta's response of blocking the sharing of news content has made it more difficult for Canadians to receive news from our major media outlets. So content creators of all types can maybe stand out more and share whatever message they want. And I don't think people are oblivious to this, but it is hard to identify credible content. And so we also asked, well, what are the top criteria you use when following influencers? And being funny and entertaining is number one, but being authentic and transparent is number two. So it shows that people want to know and understand what your intentions are with the content you produce and are looking for content maybe that aligns with that, but ultimately they do want transparency around it.
Absolutely. Um, and yes, in the full report, we go into which types of influencers people tend to follow based on age and gender, as well as the criteria for choosing to follow them. Generally, we find that younger audiences seek entertainment and inspiration, while older audiences prefer influencers who offer practical, useful content for everyday life. One last thing on this slide, the main platforms where respondents follow influencers or winners are, once again, Instagram and YouTube. Let's jump into employee-generated content, which we will call EGC for short. EGC resonates across all age groups, with 73% of respondents viewing it positively, a trend that grows stronger with age, as we saw. So 43% of respondents see employee-generated content as positive, as opposed to 33% who see influencer content as positive. So there is a notable difference. Here in blue is a snippet about Quebec. We just want to showcase here that there are regional differences and they are available in the full report. LinkedIn, being a platform for professionals, is particularly well suited for sharing employee-generated content, as following companies or opinion leaders is a top activity for 22% of respondents who have a LinkedIn account. In conclusion, EGC offers an authentic and credible way to connect with your audience. For organizations, leveraging your employees' voices strategically on platforms like LinkedIn can be a powerful tool. We recommend that when planning EGC, ensure there is a clear brief and a strategy to guide the content creation as you would with an influencer. I will now pass it over to Boris.
Thank you, Marise. So for our third discovery, we'll look at how brands can leverage more entertaining content to inform, educate, and maximize engagement with their audiences. All right, so first, some good news. Canadians are still interested in following and interacting with brands on social media. Overall, it's 41% of Canadians that follow brands and businesses on social. It's a trend that has been growing for the past 3 years. However, when we look closer, we see a generational difference between those under and over 45 years old. Among 16 to 44, 59% of them follow brands on social media. But for those aged 45 and over, this number drops to 27, meaning that proportionally there's twice as many younger people following brands compared to those 45 and up. Let's look at which social platform Canadians use to follow and engage with brands. Instagram is clearly becoming the go-to platform for our organization on social media. It's the only platform that consistently ranks first or second amongst all age groups. Instagram reaches all age groups effectively. It offers engaging content and format like stories. So it enables you to really propose authentic content and have daily interaction with your audiences. Let's not forget also that it's the top platform for influencer marketing campaigns. So it's really becoming a rich ecosystem for brands. YouTube shouldn't be overlooked either. there's about a quarter of Canadians across all age group that follow brands on this platform. TikTok is growing, especially among 16 to 24. It's a great option for organization with the resources to create dynamic, tailored content for younger audiences. Let's talk about social content for brands, right? 71% of respondents say that they prefer brands and organizations that feature funny and entertaining ads. Among the 16 to 24, it's 62% of them that particularly appreciate ads that are tailored to their interest and passion. I think this highlights that brands using web culture, humor, current events are more effective at capturing attention and driving engagement and impact. So, in a context where users have super limited attention span and where organic reach of your post is declining, it's crucial to have a content strategy that stands out, right? So creativity, humor can be used to build long-lasting relationship with these audiences. Um, So some key points, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, essential platforms to engage now. Consider rethinking your content strategy, capitalize on trends, humor, web culture. It will help you be more authentic, relatable, and the data shows that consumers are really looking for that kind of interaction. Each platform offers unique strengths. Instagram and Facebook are great for building community and sharing visual content. YouTube perfect for longer form storytelling content, and TikTok super relevant for younger audiences. So also focus on your platform and format content strategy. You can also integrate shorter videos, use Instagram Reels. It will really help you have an overall content strategy with higher impact that resonates. A few words about our digital audit service. This is a popular service for organizations seeking a complete analysis of their digital ecosystem. Our expert will analyze your website, benchmark your competition, assess your social media platforms, will review all your past advertising campaigns over the last year, and we'll also evaluate what is your content strategy at the moment. So the goal is to provide you a super detailed audit that identifies actionable opportunities and offer you recommendation to help you build and enhance your digital strategy and digital presence. So please don't hesitate to contact us for more information about the digital audit. Now over to you, Alan.
Well, I'm really excited to present this section this year as we've been able to use some of Leger's new technology to dive into the unconscious emotional response that viewers are having to advertising. And when we can do this through Cube AI, which uses biometric data to measure the effectiveness of your ads and your competitors. There are lots of tools out there that do one thing, but through Cube AI, we can capture both facial responses as well as biometrics. So the example here shows the moment by moment levels of attention, which are the lines in green, and the aggregate levels of positive emotions experienced by those watching the ad, and that's done in purple. Not shown in the trending chart, but we can also do the same for the levels of neutrality that people feel while watching, as well as different levels of negative emotions such as anger, distrust, and fear. And through the tracking of facial expressions, eye movements, and attention levels, we can identify what's the emotional impact of your ad and what moments in a video ad drive engagement. And we can use that to offer suggestions and identify what parts of an ad could use some improvement, what scenes are captivating viewers, and these scenes are ones that might carry over well to shorter cuts on social media platforms. And all of these things can help to ensure you're optimizing your media spend by having the best possible creative out there. Taking our analysis back to the social media realm, and we'll go to the next slide. I also wanted to share some learnings that can optimize your strategy across different social media platforms. To start, we have, I'll say the age-old question, animated or static? And overall, we see animated wins. When we ask why, the most common responses are that people appreciate the lively and catchy nature of these types of ads. Those who prefer static ads like the simplicity and streamlined nature of them. But overall, even though animated is preferred, it really does depend on the campaign objectives. Are you trying to get attention, or are you trying to communicate a message? Next, we have another poll that will come up. So I'll give it a minute to pop up. And essentially, we're going to be asking you, which type of advertisements do Canadians prefer, professional or user-generated content, UGC? And we'll give you a couple seconds to respond. All right, let's see what you think. The results will pop up in a minute. All right, pretty evenly split, 51% feeling that professional is preferred, while 49% say that user-generated content is preferred. And the results show pretty balanced as well, which was surprising to see. We see that people appreciate that professional videos, appreciate them slightly more, those professional videos. And the reasons that they give is that they think that these videos can better explain the product. User-generated content are perceived to be more authentic, and some people feel it's a better way to explain the benefits of a product or service. And as we saw within your poll results, there's no clear winner. It really depends on the type of emotions you want to engage with your audience. So from all this, from our QAI analysis, as well as other research questions, we have compiled 6 best practices in advertising to create a lasting impact. The first is focus on the product. Show it so people know what you're talking about. Show human faces to help create emotional connections and change the shots frequently. Surprise your viewers. Surprise is an emotion which we can measure in CubeAI, and we also show it's very powerful at creating attention and generating a positive response. Show the logo of your brand, particularly if the brand is well known, so that you can benefit from the equity in it. And when you're showing faces, don't just show them, but if you can, make sure to show them smiling or having genuine human interactions. So with these, I'll pass it back to Boris to share what it means for you as marketers.
Thank you, Alan. So to create effective and impactful advertising campaign, we invite you to focus on 3 key principles. First, adapt the ad format to your message. Ensure that you have the right medium, the right platform to enhance what you want to communicate. We just saw that user-generated content or more influencer campaign are a good fit with stories on Instagram and TikTok. So the good message in the right platform. Then we recommend experimenting with and diversifying format to maximize reach and impact. As different audiences respond to different formats. So don't hesitate to test, do some A/B testing. It will help you land on the best ad format for the right audience. Finally, identify the emotion you want to convey, as connecting emotionally with your audience is crucial for engagement and memorability. Alan just showed you some best practices. There's tools now like CubeAI that really helps us identify the emotions, and we can plan it now with intention and include it in our ad messages. Right. So in this section, we'll talk about trust in social media, cookies, and also a few words about AI. Social media, we all know it's widely used, but it's not the most trusted source for Canadians. Traditional media like radio, print newspapers, news website, television, even podcasts inspire more trust in social media. Social media ranks much lower with only 39% of Canadians trusting this medium. So for organizations, social media remains super essential for capturing attention and engaging audiences. However, building and maintaining trust on this platform is critical, as skepticism can quickly turn into criticism. So this is why transparency, authentic communication, and fostering trust with your followers is super important in this environment. Let's talk about also a dual challenge for brands when it comes to data sharing and online experience personalization. On one hand, users want more personalized experience online, but yet there's only 30% that say that they are willing to deliberately share their personal information. On the other hand, 82% of respondents accept cookies pretty easily on the website. So this shows that while consumers are cautious about sharing sensitive information, they remain open to less intrusive forms of data collection like cookies when they perceive immediate value. So for brands, the opportunity here is clear. I think we need to strike the right balance between personalization and respecting user privacy. So by adapting these practices and demonstrating tangible benefits of sharing data, you can build trust while meeting users' expectation for personalization. All right, so AI, it's a must discuss topic. It's unavoidable. First, some interesting data. 40% of Canadians view the use of AI positively, 20% remain neutral. So this means 60% of Canadians have a neutral or favorable perception of AI. We also know that 96% of Canadians use search engines like Google at least once a week. I mean, no surprise here. Google remains the main gateway to the web. What really stands out is that nearly a quarter of Canadians already use AI tools like ChatGPT on a weekly basis. So it will be interesting to see if this usage grows over time. I think that it will. 15%, this is a super interesting stat. So among 16 to 24 years old, 15% of them now turns to AI tools as their first stop ahead of search engine. So this trend could have significant implication for organization. Simply put, if tools like ChatGPT becomes a bigger player and fewer users rely on Google, we'll have to adapt our digital strategies pretty quickly to ensure visibility within ChatGPT results. So let's not forget that ChatGPT doesn't offer advertising option at the moment. So it will also be interesting to see if they introduce ads and what's the impact, and what impact it could have on the performance of your campaigns on Google. So something to follow. Right. In summary, to maximize your online credibility, you need to address two major challenges: building trust on social platforms where Canadians still remain skeptical, and finding a good balance between personalization and privacy. You can do that by collaborating with credible media outlets, use advertising to share super relevant content, and be transparent about the data usage that you do. By demonstrating real value and staying authentic, you'll cultivate a strong and lasting reputation with your community.
Thank you, Boris and Alan. So we've shared a lot of information today. And here is a recap of our 5 discoveries. So if you need to remember one slide, this is the one. So first, there is a distinct purpose for each age group, for each social media platform. Secondly, employees become your brand ambassadors. We're not saying to throw influencers out the window. They aren't useful and necessary, but depending on your message, you obviously can turn towards your employees. Entertainment is now a means to inform. You need to make your content as organic as possible and speak so that your brand can speak like a person. Fourth is that results are driven by emotion. So all content formats can and should have a place in your content strategy, but they really depend on what audience and what emotion you want to drive. And finally, personalization and trust are essential for engaging your users. So for this next slide, I'm very happy to introduce you to Leon, our AI assistant. So Leon was designed to help you find answers to your questions quickly and easily. Most of all, along with Leon, you will have access to the full 100-page report, including all questions and sociodemographic cross-tabulation, so age, gender, province, etc. So please note that you will receive later today a summarized report of the study for free. If you are interested in getting access to Leon and the full report, please contact us at the address shown here and in the chat. So you can use it basically like a conversational agent asking questions, and Leon will pop the answer right there for you. Take it from the full report. All right. Before moving on to the Q&A session, I'd like to thank everyone who worked so passionately on this study. So Sarah Motet, who coordinated the 2025 study with me, Caroline Fortin for directing and writing the content, Lynn Tran and Elsa Gravel for the beautiful art direction and visual production of this report, Amélie Berriot-Poirier, and Maude Nollet for the research report production and everything related to it, and Gabrielle Gagnon and AJ Rao for developing Leon. And thank you to the entire Léger Digital team, and of course my co-hosts, Boris and Alan. Let's open the Q&A session. A reminder that you can use the Q&A button right at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions, and I already have quite a few. So many people want to know about Blue Sky. So one of those questions is, will there be any data presented for Blue Sky? So for this study, maybe Boris, you can say a word.
Yeah, so Blue Sky recently launched, right? So we don't have any data about Blue Sky, but we'll definitely include it in next year report. We started data collection for this report during the summer. Blue Sky wasn't there at the moment, so that's simply the reason. But our goal every year is to make sure that we have a full overview of what's going on those social platforms. So we'll definitely include it in next year.
Exactly. So quick stats. Blue Sky right now has over 20 million users so far. So comparing it to X right now, which has 600 million users, it's still a relatively small player. It launched in early 2023, but it's had a recent spike in accounts. So it's still very new, and we will take a look at it next year, definitely. Someone wants to know, for franchise companies, does employee-generated content typically originate from individual stores or from the head office team? Boris, do you want to get a crack at that?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and there's no right or wrong answer. Usually, when we see with franchise, is that sometimes franchise will have their own social platform on top of the corporate social platform. So it gives you the opportunity, right? You can, if you have the confidence and the skills and the team to create your own employee content for the franchise social platforms. And you can also relay the content coming from the head office, if I could say. So it really depends on what you have available. But I mean, what we recommend is more relevancy, more personalization. So if you can have the resources and the content to have a more local approach, it's definitely better. But it takes time and resources. But there's no wrong or right approach.
Thank you. And I have a follow-up question by Margaret Bradford. Do you compensate employees for EGC?
It's It's a good question for the mandate where we had this kind of relationship. There was no compensation. What we provide is a clear brief, some training, and employees were super interested and willing to take part of it. So, based on our few mandates and experience, there was no compensation.
Great question. I'm guessing it depends on every company. Someone asks if Leon will be free to use as a tool. It is available for purchase for a small price, so please contact us at I think it's solutions@leger360.com. The address is available in chat, and mostly you will have access to the full report along with Leon. Do we have, maybe a question for you, Alan, do we have any results by ethnic or cultural background? And is there a split between French and English?
Yeah, the French versus English, yes, we definitely have regional differences highlighted in the larger report. And then ethnic cultural background, some can be teased out by that, but we also have data. I mean, we weighted it by mother tongue. That can be tied back to perhaps ethnicity as well. But within the specific report, it's mainly at the regional age and gender differences.
So I'm still looking at questions to see. We have a few minutes. Please send us your questions. I'm seeing a lot of stuff from Blue Sky. Thank you so much. It definitely inspires us to go deeper in that direction next year. Someone asks, do we have any data about YouTube Premium versus regular YouTube as it impacts how many users see ad placements?
That's a good question. I don't think we have question about YouTube Premium versus regular users, but it is a good question because Premium users don't see ads, right? You know, the bumper ads, so they have a ad-free experience. So definitely something that we can consider. Thank you for the question. Something we can consider for the next edition. But if we talk about organic content and organic reach on YouTube, YouTube definitely is now the second more popular platform in Canada, so super important. And you can still create a big following and high engagement even without ads, right? By proposing an array of content. So we see more and more organization having big followers on YouTube. So it's a mix of having great content and also capitalizing on ad options on YouTube to create that momentum. But yeah, we'll have a look into this, how we can measure the proportion of users with YouTube Premium and the ones that don't have the premium option.
We have time for a few more. I see, will the summary report also include US? Yes, and the free summary report that you will receive, there is information about our US respondents. Thank you for asking. And a good one, do you track media spend by channels in our study?
Media spend by channels. No, we don't have this info at the moment. It would be a bit of challenge because we will need to survey announcers and brands and have a bigger portrait of how much they're investing in. So at the moment, this is not an info that we have. The survey here is really we're surveying Canadians in general, right? The overall
Exactly.
population.
Exactly. So we're surveying users, like everyday people who really use social media platforms and not advertisers. All right. I'm reading, but so do we have maybe one last question here? Do we have data about the preferred length of video? Shorts and reels versus long form, which is still very popular on YouTube. Do we have that specific data?
I don't think we have the data, something we can maybe consider. Um, no, but what I can say is that attention span is super short, right? Um, we have this challenge now to really be impactful in shorter formats even the ad formats are becoming shorter. We have ads that are 5 second long now. So there's always that challenges of proposing a big array of ad formats, some shorter, some longer. But in general, I think the approach is being able to be shorter, to fit with the shorter attention span of users.
All right, time for one last question. Any activities that are different in our big chart? Who does what where in the US? So yes, streaming and watching lives. We don't see that yet in Canada. So that's one of the main differences. So yes, I have a message coming up. We do have data, I'm sorry, for Instagram stories. Just completing on what Boris said. And we know that people prefer the 15-second ad to the 60-second ad. So they prefer the shorter version. As you said, Boris, aim for shorter. That was exactly right. And that info will be in the short summary report that you will receive. So that was it for our questions. Please do not hesitate to send us a quick email if you'd like. The email address will be in the chat. Please reach out if you're interested in any of the information that you saw today, and we will send you the report in the following hours. Thank you so much for giving us your time today.